The conversation today is going to be about, as the title says, Punjab, the Punjab, a quest for unification, and I'll talk about why the Punjab. Actually, let me start with that because as we understand Punjab in 2018, we understand it to be two provinces as they exist in the nation states of India and Pakistan. And even in these two nation states, the understanding is in post 47 to now, it has changed quite a bit. So here it is referring to, there's a whole politics of how you spell Punjab with an A or U and why the word the got dropped at some point, in last 100 years. So when I'm using this, it's referring to the region of Punjab, which was also a kingdom of Punjab. So this is the reason for saying the Punjab. And actually, I'm going to correct myself in the beginning and say it's really a quest for reunification because it was unified Punjab. And then because of, and I'll get into the history of that a bit. So this really is about reunification. In the from an inspiration angle, I just want to mention that this morning when I read the hukum from Sri Harinder Sahib in Amritsar, the very first line of Guru Amardas Patsha in a slok was Sekha Chakya Chavaya Eho Man Ik To Kar Aan. And I thought about that because, we are dealing with a lot of the chieftain politics, even if you look at in the case of Punjab and how it gets juxtaposed to India and Pakistan and Japhi or no Japhi of last week even, Sikhs are the chiefs. And chiefs are the ones you can say in today, you can say primarily they're like either there are political heads and there are some economic heads now. And what this is saying is if you're running around in four directions and blown by the four winds, as they say, at some point, essentially it's saying, there is a lot of spinning going on in today's context as well. So chiefs are part of a lot of these games which nations are playing. There are lots of spinnings going on, and how every gesture is interpreted and misinterpreted. But at the end of the day, what is this all about? According to Guru Amardas Pasha, he says, Eho man, this mind of ours, Ikut. Ikut is the one or the oneness, Karan. Are we really focusing on to bring things back home, or are we going to be caught up in the newest sort of a distraction in all four direction being blown in by the four winds all over the world? So I'm referring to obviously what Captain Amrinder and Navjot Sidhu's thing about when he went to meet his politician friend who became the new prime minister, and eventually the Punjab comes on is being discussed again, but in a very different manner. So this is the overview, which you already are aware since you registered, that we'll talk a little bit about what really is Punjab in a history, but in a more from a border and from a macro view angle. And then I'll get into how in last 72 years, these things have been dealt with. And then obviously a Sikh angle to all this. How do we solve at an idea level what's happening with Punjab and the role Sikhs have historically played to solve that? And then dreaming the reunification. And I call this dream because there cannot be any blueprints or the roadmaps or what can I do kind of a question right now because people don't even talk about reunifying and why we need to be talking about it in the context of world affairs, specifically with the Punjabis, 130 million of us worldwide. So to start with, as you already know, Punjab means the land of five rivers, but this has been celebrated like that in poetry as well. Babu Rajabali, he has a poem, Koi Desh Punjabo Sona Na. Obviously, every country, especially in a nationalistic way, the songs are being sung, whether they are today's democracies or today's dictatorships, they all talk about their homeland being the best. But here is Babu Rajawali talking about it, and he actually mentions all five rivers of Punjab, which essentially says, Panj Darya is Desh De, Taiyo Kahan Punjab, ਰਾਵੀ ਸਤਲੁਜ ਬਿਆਸ ਜੀ ਜਿਹਲਮ ਅਤੇ ਚਨਾਬ. Chenab nu, many a time Chenab is also written as Chana when it comes to the love poetry, especially of Punjab. So essentially, I'm sharing this, that the idea of Desh Punjab has been there. It is still there in the Punjabi songs, but it is not really talked about much when it comes to economics or politics, or what I'm now calling reunifying them. I'm gonna be sharing a bunch of poetry, but I'll talk about it in English. So to talk about Punjab and who is Punjabi, I'm invoking here Babu Ferozdin Sharaf. And let me just read this to you and I'll talk about it. He says, "मैं पंजाबी, पंजाब दे मैं पंजाबी, पंजाब दे रहन वाला." So पंजाब दा मैं पंजाबी, पंजाब दे रहन वाला. हाँ मैं पेंडू पर शहरीए ढंग दा हां. समझां उर्दू हिंदी भी खूब बोलां. थोड़ी ਬਹੁਤੀ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਵੀ ਅੰਗਦਾ ਹਾਂ. ਬੋਲੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਰੱਖਾਂ. ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਆਖਣੋਂ ਕਦੀ ਨਾ ਸੰਗਦਾ ਹਾਂ. ਮੋਤੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਸੁਹਾਗਣ ਦੀ ਨੱਥ ਦਾ ਮੈਂ. ਟੁਕੜਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਪੰਜਾਬਣ ਦੀ ਵੰਗਦਾ ਹਾਂ. So in this first part, he's basically talking about, because there are lots of stereotypes have been developed about who Punjabis are, whether they're cultured, whether they're intelligent, whether their aptitudes have gone down. Well, he says, I am of Punjab. I live in Punjab. Yes, I am rural, but I also understand the city cultures. Yes, I also know Hindi and Urdu, and English, but I have a particular affinity to my own mother tongue of Punjabi. And I'm not going to be shy about talking about these things. And then he invokes Punjab Banadi Vanga, those are times of, these are symbolisms here. Because Wang is, ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੂੜੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, or the bracelets of a sort. And then the second part, he says, "Mile maan Punjabi nu des andar. ਆਸ਼ਕ ਮੁੱਢੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਉਮੰਗ ਦਾ ਹਾਂ. ਵਾਰਿਸ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਤੇ ਬੁੱਲੇ ਦੇ ਰੰਗ ਅੰਦਰ. ਡੋਬ ਡੋਬ ਕੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਰੰਗਦਾ ਹਾਂ. ਰਵਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਯੂਪੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ. ਐਸੀ ਅਕਲ ਨੂੰ ਛਿੱਕੇ ਤੇ ਟੰਗਦਾ ਹਾਂ. ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦਾ ਸਰਫ ਸੇਵਕ, ਸ਼ਰਫ ਸੇਵਕ, ਸਦਾ ਖੈਰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੀ ਮੰਗਦਾ ਹਾਂ." So he's saying, even in Desh Punjab, Punjabi used to be quite celebrated. So Punjabi here, language and culture part more. Now we have troubles with those, as you have probably seen on both sides of the border. And he says, I'm a lover of this, that can we bring back this Punjabiness? Because what is being Punjabi anymore? And he invokes obviously the celebrated popular poets like Waris Shah and Bulla. And then he says, wherever I live, I still, I have my own thing related to UP, because I was born and raised in UP until the age of 12. And I've never lived in Punjab until for 5 years between 97 and 2002. But he essentially is talking about, last line he actually says it, where he says, "Khair Punjabi di mangda ha, sada khair Punjabi di." So he is putting, because a lot of Sikhs who might be sitting in diaspora, which by the way I call it the third Punjab now, first being in India and second being in Pakistan, and the rest being the ones those who identify with Punjabiness globally. He's actually saying, regardless of where you're living, what are you doing to create Punjabism? Because the idea of Punjabiness is not talked about much. Maybe it is talked about in certain language forums and certain cultural forums, but there are 130 million Punjabis globally, and where do we really see these beyond language and culture also, this ideas of Desh Punjab? So let's talk about this Desh Punjab. And obviously, Punjabi civilizations go back 2,000 plus years, and I'm not going to go all the way back there. But in the sort of when we look at border making starting, the ideas of republics and Raj starting, and eventually culminating into today's ideas of boundaries deciding what nationalisms are. So when we look at that, the Kingdom of Punjab was first declared in actually 1765. So, the notes you can read there, this is borrowed from an exhibition which was curated by Punjab Digital Library in Chandigarh earlier this year, last year, sorry. And what is being shown is, if you look at the left side where it says 1765 to 1846, you have the first declarations of Punjab not as an idea or something which invaders are only toiling with, but Punjab, which was declared a state, what we will today call state or a nation or a country, or the earlier ideas of republic or Raj. And what most people don't realize is that that consolidation did take place under Jassa Singh Ahluwalia when he was fighting the invaders. And then you have Punjab, which became a state and a kingdom as we know it, which the British dealt with until 1849. And what you have is after the death of Ranjit Singh, this is the middle part, where popularly what they're called Anglo-Sikh Wars 1 and 2, you essentially have a lot of treachery and treason, which destroyed this Desh Punjab. Again, Desh Punjab is understood. I'm going to just invoke the idea of Lahore Darbar here because that's the official treaty title. East India Company dealt with it. They were signed with East India Company as well, essentially the extension of British Empire. But what we don't realize is that it was, we still have kingdoms in the world, even in Europe and in Africa and Asia. And this was one of those kingdoms, but this kingdom had put the Punjab on the global map. This kingdom had incredible military power, incredible economic power, incredible investment in education, where under Ranjit Singh, for example, the per capita money being spent on the education budget in Punjab was more than it was being spent in England, which was considered the global empire at the time. And then the third part, what you see is how the Punjab, which was consolidated into a kingdom, a Desh Punjab, how eventually it was in 1849 annexed, and then last 47 onward, how it was split into different states as they exist today. And we will talk more about that. But the point is, if we even look at it from a space angle, land angle, and not get into anything else, you can see how the civilization, which is studied as an archaic now, like 2,000 years, but if you look at even in last 200 years, and this is roughly the period where, for example, America is being founded in 1776. So in comparisons to American revolutions and the revolutions which are happening within Punjab, and who's leading these revolutions to save Punjab, to consolidate what we now call Desh Punjab, is the role which Sikhs played, the role which to the large level Sikhs played needs to be talked about as well, which I'll get into. And I know the last one, if you notice, interestingly, this exhibition called the last 1846 to 1966, which was the last time Punjab was divided into, the Indian state of Punjab was divided into Himachal, Punjab, and Haryana. The curators called this Epicurean indulgence. And I think there is a little bit of oxymoronish stuff here, but also, Epicurean, as I understand it, used to be those who followed the philosopher. But his ideas were not about indulgences. This is today Epicurean indulgence means people who are overtly sexual or overly indulgent in food or fine wines, for example. And what he was saying was, and this is how things are misunderstood about Punjab. So I'm playing with this phrase because the original idea of the philosophy was that things in moderation and things in serenity help us deal with long-term effects. But if you're not going to be in moderation and serenity, and indulgences actually create problems. And I think that's sort of Punjab's story. If you look at the treachery and treason, that's the time of overindulgence. And if you look at indulgences in last 70 years, to the level where the idea of Punjab is getting lost, except when they need to invoke it symbolically or in songs. So let's start with the last part, where we are in last 72 years. In this context, you can see the line on your screen, and I'm referring to from an angle, if you look at this line being drawn, this red cliff line primarily now, which divided the what we now call East and West Punjabs. These are unnatural borders. Borders, generally speaking, natural borders are considered where there are rivers, mountain, and deserts. So you can see in earlier maps from the Panj Darya Punjab, they jokingly say this now, two are left on what the new nations of India and the new nations of Pakistan, and half was split in between them. And I like to say, if you look at this, um, for example, if you look at this part, it looks like a butterfly sort of. And I like to say it was a half of the wing was clipped. And if the wing of a butterfly is clipped, then how are you going to fly? And maybe this is part of the problem we are dealing with, symbolically speaking. So what happened there? Cyril Redcliffe, or as they say, Sir Redcliffe, he drew this line artificially. He did it in 5 weeks. The guy who was in charge of doing this had never been to India, or what was called India, pre-47 India. He did this in 5 weeks. And what most people don't even realize is that the border was not even accepted until August 17th, 1947. And the date is important because Pakistan celebrates independence on the 14th August and India celebrates on 15th. And when he did this under compulsions, he actually left India on the 15th and he burned all his papers as to how he decided this, because there are lots of theories on how this happened. And he did not take compensation at that time, rupees 40,000. And he fled India on 15th. And we all know the consequences of it. That's not the discussion today. But just to remind everyone, the unnatural borders which were created the impact of that was there were 1 million people were dead on all sides, including Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs. And we don't even know the exact figures or even extrapolations from conformal mappings of mathematical techniques. But I wonder how many women were raped, because that remains the largest tools even today, and dishonoring, as they call it. And 14 million plus people were dislocated because of these unnatural borders which are developed. Hence, you have perennial problems. What we see today, you know, each country, implying India and Pakistan, interprets the border as it sees fit, which keeps adding to the security and military expenses on both sides. And the border on the Punjab is not talked about much. And I'll talk, but the border on Jammu and Kashmir does, which, by the way, was part of Kingdom of Punjab when the Punjab existed as unified Punjab. So these borders create serious problems. And Punjab is surrounded by, as you can see on your map, if you look at it from the modern nation states of India, Pakistan, China, and Afghanistan, and you are right in the middle of this. And uh, there are studies out there which have shown that whenever you create artificial borders, you essentially end up creating fragmented states, because there are enough falsehoods and nearsightedness which add to this falsehood and artificiality. And you can see this discussion continues in both states of India and Pakistan every time they're um, celebrating or commemorating their anniversaries. Uh, so in this context, because we talk about partition, and partition really is of Punjab anymore. Earlier it was of Bengalis, Bengal, because in 71 you end up, there was a new nation state with the aid of India. Pakistan was split into Bangladesh and Pakistan. So anymore, really, the Punjab is the only divided place which stands without having its own unique national identity of any kind. Or I'll just stick to Punjabiness. Whatever the Punjabiyat means is being decided by the two nation states now. So what does the Punjabiyat mean, and what happened in 47? The pain of that is captured really well by Ustad Chirag Deen Daman. Again, the poets are utilized to talk about because they are able to touch the feelings. And he says this, he says, "Is mulk di wand kolo yaro, khoye tusi vi ho, khoye asi vi ha. ਭਾਵੇਂ ਮੂੰਹੋਂ ਨਾ ਕਹੀਏ ਪਰ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਵਿੱਚੀ ਖੋਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਖੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀਆਂ ਹੱਥੋਂ ਬਰਬਾਦ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੋਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਹੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਉਮੀਦ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਮੋਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਮੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ." So he's saying, the mulk di wand. He's like, we both sides have lost. We have lost and you have lost because of this partitioning of our mulk. And even if we don't vocalize it, we know we are lost. And he says, what kind of freedom is this which has created this barbadi? So he's saying, this is not azadi, this is barbadi. We are ruined in the name of freedom. And not, And he says, we are ruined on both sides. And we are like dead people. Mona moe tusi vi ho, moe asi vi ho. Now we walk around as if we are dead. And then he continues, ਜਿਉਂਦੀ ਜਾਨ ਈ ਮੌਤ ਦੇ ਮੂੰਹ ਅੰਦਰ ਢੋਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਢੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਗਣ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਰੱਜ ਕੇ ਲੁੱਟਿਆ ਏ ਸੋਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਲਾਲੀ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਪਈ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਏ ਰੋਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਰੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ so he's saying we are asleep. And when we are at asleep, I'm going to imply Punjabis here, those who identify with being Punjabi in any capacity. He says, we are the ones that sleep and we are the ones being looted. And not just looted, Raj ke lutte aaye. Raj ke lutna is like everything of Punjab has been looted. Raj ke to satisfy someone else's quest, someone else's thirst, someone else's needs. And he says, on both sides, we can look at the eyes. Look at the eyes on the both sides of the Punjab. Roye tusi vi ho, even you are crying and we are also crying. So this captures at a poetic level what has happened to Punjab in last 72 years under the states of India and Pakistan. So what are those things? Well, we don't know how to tell that one story because there are two sides to it. And one side is decided by New Delhi, other one by Islamabad, and sometimes affected by their Karachi. And I say that because within Pakistan state, there have been movements on, just like on the Indian side, for example, Punjab was truncated in 1966. In last 2 years, there were discussions to split Punjab on the linguistic basis, the Pakistani side of Punjab. And the current prime minister, the new prime minister, Imran Khan, has actually said that within 100 days, we will need to do something about creating a South Punjab on the Pakistan side. Now, again, this has to do with language issues, chieftain politics issues, and there might be a split of Punjab coming on the Pakistani side, just like on the Indian side, there was a truncation in 1966. So what's going on here? Basically, when you have a same nation which is divided by a line, a red cliff line as it's called, well, it has created um, narrations which only help the politicians and the army. That's what we are seeing on both sides. Because what happens? What happens is, well, there have been 3 wars, 3 declared wars, and many undeclared, like in the last 15 years as well. When you have a line which is arbitrary because it is not dealing with people on both sides, people would want to unite. And my point is, if you have had a hatred which has been instigated for 72 years, because, and the photo I'm using here, the picture on your slide, what you're seeing is a story about this. The story is basically, if you look at how a same story before 1947, how the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, for example, is being described on the Indian side and the Pakistani side, because there is no Punjab side right now. There are efforts in the last 15, 20 years to tell the same story, but each state is telling the story, the same story, but in a different way, because they're instilling hate. And if you have had 72 years of hatred in writing, in your poetry, in your culture, in the way you describe Punjabis, in the way you tell from a state of, again, when I say state narratives also change because you can see what Pakistan is going through and what India is going through. My point here is there was a damage in 47, but there has been much more damage in the last 72 years to the Punjabiness. And now the Punjabiness is dealing with 2 extreme hatreds which come out. You can see it. You can look in the social media even in last week, how the both sides look at the same issue when Punjabis or Sikhs get involved. So now I'm going to get into the first conversation I'm going to have. Why reunite? Well, there are enough reasons. I mentioned this, but is it even possible? Well, I like to say everything is possible once people start believing in it. So strategically and economically, because today more of a discussion happens on economics. We know this. This is a fact. This is a fact every nation state deals with. whether it's American attitude toward earlier China, to today's India, to other many other rogue nation states towards Pakistan. I'm not saying Pakistan is rogue, but there are many rogue states, and there have been, there will continue to be. If you look at today's world powers or the top 5 Security Council permanent seat holders and their attitudes in Middle East, in Asia, in South America, and other spaces in the world, eventually it comes down to their strategic interest and economic interest. So that's why I'm using that phrase. Well, is it possible? I said, yeah, this is possible if there is no radical political destabilization in the subcontinent of what we generally call Indian subcontinent, implying in South Asia. So if there is no radical political destabilization, I think there is a possibility to talk about Punjab being reunited. And if there's a national soft powers maintain cultural cohesiveness, what I mean by that is that what India and Pakistan, the behavior and attitude and the policies they develop, even if they're not going to get into economic and linguistic issues, but even soft levels. What is mean by soft levels are things which are not necessarily articulated in hard policies, which deal with people, economics, political borders, assignments, things of that nature. I also feel this is very possible if ethnic and religious radicalization declines, because a lot of that is going on both sides of border. Uh, there is constant discussion about what PTI will be doing in the new Pakistan with their promises, but their alliances have been with extreme right wingers as well. Well, the same discussion is taking place in India, where the current administration is a coalition of extreme right Hindutva parties as well. So if the ethnic and religious radicalization continues, then this is not going to be possible, in my opinion. But if there is a decline, which we don't see right now, but if we start to see that decline, those possibilities exist. The possibility of Punjab reuniting exists. And the last reason I'm mentioning is, I think we need to talk about what is the next nation look like. We know there are discussions taking place in universities, at least, as to the modern nation states have failed to large extent in the post-World War II arena. So what are the principles of the nations now? What does nation really mean anymore? And I will explore one or two ideas with you. And I think when Punjab talks about that, reunification of Punjab talks about it, some Punjabis need to look at what does the next Punjab look like. Now, we have to talk about economics and trade, and I'm just going to give a snapshot of that. And the Wilson Institute has done an incredibly good study on this, those of you who are interested. So in pre-1947, what we don't realize is that Lahore was a center of trade and commerce, finance, and education for the whole of Punjab region, and to its east was Delhi, and to its west was Persia and Central Asia. But this got cut off when the British took over. So Lahore, which is a heart of Punjab, which was a seat of Punjab's capital, actually was a very large economic power. Now, even after partition in the states of what I'm calling Indo-Pak bilateral trades, between 48 and 1965, this actually continued. Like on the Indian, there were 8 custom stations. They're listed on there. You can read in the Punjab province at Wagah and Mughalpura railway stations and Haripur, Band on the Chenab River, Chana. My point is that until 1965, a lot of these things actually continued, even after quote unquote partition of Punjab. But after the war of 1965, everything died, everything was closed. What we in today's language call cross-border trade and economic relations, which benefited both sides of Punjab, because Punjab being an agrarian society was very, very big to be able to do that. They actually stopped that in 1965. So what now is called local economies and local interactions, the comparative advantage of that, which was experienced by both states or provinces of Indian and Pakistani Punjab, that got killed. So the local economies and the local interactions, and you can say the Punjab's economy, regardless of the nation state, got killed. Now there are some interesting developments. If you look at the table on the right, if you look at the Punjab element there, from a road transportation to rail to a shipping link, there is no Punjab because it's landlocked. But air link and gas pipelines proposal, An asterisk means they're proposed, they haven't happened, and electricity links, which can happen. If you look at this table, majority of those things, if you take out the shipping and other areas, because Punjab is not relevant in that sense, there are things which can create interesting intergrids to get these things done. And there are proposals to get this done. And my point is, if there is a Punjabi unification, there's enough which the economies and the developments can come together to create a unified Punjab as well. So what is the Sikh paradigm now? The role Sikh has played and what role we can still play? Well, what we need to understand is, from a Guru period perspective, Guru Nanak Sahib started a Raj. And this is the context of the Shabad. The line highlighted is, Nanak Raj Chalaya, Sachkot Satani Neev De. That Guru Nanak came into this world to start and he commenced. He initiated a Raj. Raj means governance, and Raj can also culminate into a republic or a state. But he says he started a Raj, basically policy formations, institution developments, whose foundations were on truth, whose foundations, Satani Neevde, whose foundations were firm. And on that, he built a fort of truth. And truth is eternal idea, and court is a fort. Fort is symbolism of protections. So essentially, the point here I'm trying to raise is, when Sikhs get involved in the destinies of Punjab from Guru Nanak period onwards, and the project space for the Gurus was Punjab. It started even from an angle of Nankana Sahib to Anandpur Sahib. If you look at the cities which were founded, they're all in Punjab by the Gurus. So when Gurus started developing these policies, this is where they started from. This is the principle. This is the modeling of the Gurus. This is the paradigm. The development of what to do was based on there need to be firm foundations, and we are only going to build eternal fort, implying that political games will continue to be played and they will continue forever. But what political game Guru-oriented Sikhs will do and will create, what institutions they will develop in Punjab for their development, needs to be based on this paradigm. And so let's look at how did they do this in the history of Punjab from a 1700 onwards. So this is very interesting. First thing I want to mention is I'm going to just share historical angles, because we're talking about history of a region of Punjab, which eventually was a kingdom and now divided between two states. The three next slides are from Sri Guru Panth Prakash. That's the actual name of it. Sometimes it's called popularly Prachin Panth Prakash. It's written by Sardar Ratan Singh Pangu. And this particular Sakhi, this episode, is invoking, when it's describing the attack of Babur, as you're familiar with. We generally call that Babur Vani when Guru Granth Sahib is invoked, but this is a historical account. And when he's describing this, when Ratan Singh Pangu describes this, he says, Punjab mulk Nanak ko aya, Emnabad tighoto pataya. I don't have time to present the whole context, but I just want to mention that it's talking about Daulat Khan tab Babur bulaya, Hukum tas ko yo farmaya. Essentially, he's saying, he's identifying that Punjab is the mulk of Nanak, and this is where he was invited to come. And he came to Ahmedabad, which is also called Sadpur, which is where the genocidal campaign took place. And he says, and he feels that he's able to buy Guru. Hum usko kare na khoti koi. Deu Jagir jo chahe loi. Jagir were basically the land ownerships which were given to people to buy them off. And he, Ratan Singh Pangu, writes that the locals and the emperor who's invading, who eventually becomes the emperor of India, they think they can buy Guru Nanak. They can just give him some jagirs. They can give him some gifts, large amounts of gifts. And he says, So Murak un lakhi na baat, Satgur dar kab kiske jaat, Karta harta ape hoi, uske darte jag sukh hoi. He's like, these guys are stupid. They're idiots. They think Guru will be fearful of them and Guru can be bought like this. They don't understand that this mulk, this country, this nation of Nanak, Nanak's own nation is why I titled it, because it says Punjab mulk Nanak ko aya. Aya is referring to Babur coming, but it's saying in the country, the Nanak's own nation of Punjab, this is where Babur came and tried to do this. So invocation of Punjab as being Nanak's country, Nanak's nation is mentioned here. Now, second part I want to mention is because Punjab and brawls are titled, because you'll see why. The context of this particular episode is that when Guru Gobind Singh, the founder guru, the Panth Dawali, the Khalsa's originator, who bestowed the sovereignty to the Khalsa, because this book, Sri Guru Panth Prakash, is all about how did the Sikhs get the ability to rule in Punjab. And this was the question British had asked. They had multiple people they had tasked this to find an answer to. And one of the person who was tasked to do this was Captain Murray, who was asked by Sir David Ochterlony. And Ratan Singh Pangu is giving this answer to Captain Murray. And the answers he gave, he wrote in this book. So the context of this is he talks about Guru Nanak's Mulk is Punjab. And now he's saying when Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is happy with Khalsa, like he is so happy that Khalsa is not just in form as we look at it today, that Khalsa in mindset, Khalsa in behavior, Khalsa in fighting for people's right, Khalsa in freeing Punjab has done its job and it's getting trained to do even bigger jobs. So one day Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj asks the Sikhs, he says, Satgur kahyo, mango des pal dakhan, mango pahad aur purab pacham, Singh kahen, hum dur kim jawen, mad Punjab raj kamawen, mud mud Singh baho mangai Punjab, aapas mein lad hon kharab. So he says, Guru says, ask me, what would you like? Would you like to go rule in the south? Would you like to go rule in the west? And this is important, south and west. Just keep this in mind, and I'll come back to it. Pahad means, would you like to go the Himalayas and Kashmirs? And he says the Sikhs, the Singh word, when it's used in this context, refers to the ones who are active. Interchangeably, the words Singh and the Khalsa and the Sikh get used, but in this context, is referring to those who are directly working under the command of Guru Gobind Singh. And he says this, those Sikhs, they say, we don't want to go too far. Mad Punjab mein Raj kamawe. We just want to have the sovereignty within Punjab. And Guru Sahib says, why don't you ask me more things? Shariko shariki tig tigay mangay Punjab hai paas. Satgur de vilayata vah kare na unki khash. And then he says, Sri Satgur unko keh rahe tum chagad Punjab rahe ho. So he says, Guru Sahib says, your vision is too limited. He's saying this to the Sikhs of the time. But he said, that's fine. If that's what you want, then within the Punjab, amidst multiple brawls, you will stay in Punjab, meaning rulers of Punjab. Now, this is interesting because the time period of this is Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj's period. So this is sometime between 1699 and 1708. And that's the location of the date. So the first part is Guru Nanak is the nation of Punjab is a nation of Guru Nanak. And in the time of Guru Gobind Singh, when Guru Gobind Singh says, where would you like sovereignty, physical, political sovereignty to be? And Sikhs continue to say, we would like it to be in Punjab. So this is interesting. Now comes 100 years later, roughly, Sakhi Nihang Punyangi Guru Singh Shahid Ji ki. Sees lai hum kare byahe baho padshahi asi lehe pranaye. This is the time when the invaders are there and killing the Sikhs. So this is the part of 18th century. And this is a little bit of imagination is going on here. The context of this is that Sikhs are fighting. There are major martyrs like Bhai Mani Singh, Baba Deep Singh, and all these Sikhs have been fighting to save Punjab. And this is the whole part of Sikh history, that Sikhs have been fighting to save Punjab. And they did not just become rulers, they became rulers because they were the ones who fought for Desh Punjab. So in this context, in 18th century, when Gurbakh Singh Shahid is martyred, one of the questions being asked is, if you look at it here, Jo Hajur Nij Panth Rachaya, Ab Tisna Ko Bahut Dukh Paya. Essentially saying your Panth is going through tough time. Look at what happened during Banda Singh Bahadur. We had it, then we lost it. Then Tere Khalso Aap Ladvayo. Inhi te sab dust marvayo. He says, but your Khalsa doesn't give up. It still continues to fight because there is so much evil, what we call today. Dust people who are perverted, mentally perverted is how we look at it. And we are here because we need to take care of this. People of Punjab need us. And then the question is raised. Punjab daulat yahi te singh khahe, dakhni pachmi kis le jahe? He says, Sikhs will stay in Punjab. We will, what I was referring to earlier, the local economies, the idea. He says, how come the wealth of Punjab, which belongs to Sikhs also, how come the Westerners and Southerners are going to loot this? Remember the Western and Southerner? The east is Delhi and the west side is Persia because the invaders were coming from Persia, and the south side is Eastern and Delhi side. Okay. So it's referring to that. He's like, no way, if we are the ones who are protecting Punjab, we must live off of Punjab's local economies, and we are not going to allow the west of Punjab and the south of Punjab to loot Punjab. Bachan Singh sun gur khush paye, tatha ast sat gur bach kahe. And this is a South Asian way of saying Guru Sahib says, so be it. We will not, you must not allow the Westerners and Southerners to loot Punjab. So this is the context of 18th century, and this 18th century then produced what earlier, where the map was started, which showed that how Jassa Singh Ahluwalia declared in 1765 Kingdom of Punjab, and then Ranjit Singh consolidated it. And the history behind that in the Sikh world comes from this source of Sri Guru Panth Prakash by Ratan Singh Pangu. So, okay, how are we going to consolidate all this in the next 10 minutes, and then we'll get 15 minutes, and then we'll go to Q&A. Well, Punjab, from a Sikh sentiments, if you want to listen, if you cannot listen to the Rabab being played in Punjab, you will not be able to bring Punjab back. Punjab was one nation as it was until 1849. Punjab was independent. There was a lot of flourishing. Punjab was put on the world map by the 18th century Sikhs and 19th century Sikhs. But now, so the language and culture, other things I've already talked about. The point is, this is just reconnecting the dots. That there is a lot which happened in Punjab's history, and many Punjabis played a role in it. Sikhs played a very special role in it, with the direct invocation of Guru Nanak, Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. But now, Punjabis are trapped under India and Pakistan. Both nations are destroying every state in their territory. And when I'm saying destroying, it's a bit of a hyperbole, but the point is Punjabs are getting destroyed for sure, but other states are also going through this because there hasn't been the state of India and the state of Pakistan as they exist, or the South Asia, the way they have been existing. The problem has been their results of consolidations were out of conquest. So there hasn't been an integration. There's a superficial nationalism, sometimes in the form of extreme right-wing Islam or Hinduism, or in the form of Hindi or Urdu impositions. And these language issues are on both sides of the border. So my point is there hasn't been any national integration, and there are no plans to do these national integrations. So these kind of problems will continue. In fact, this is interesting, just from a comic relief a little bit, since everyone is playing Fortnite, but before there was a Fortnite, there were games, and I'm just saying, there's this game which talks about the Punjab problem on how to unify India. Again, Sikhs played a role in it because Sikhs were the first one to create an indigenous kingdom within India after the conquest of last 700 years. Punjab was freed after 700 years of slavery by the Sikhs. And in this game, they also talk about, can India ever reunify? This is obviously under the British angle. And they're talking about in 1854. And one of the things in this game is, yes, Punjab is in, this is, if you're interested in the games, it's Victoria True, it's the Paradox Interactive. And it says Punjab isn't the best candidate for forming India, it's the only candidate. So the point being, even when in the these risk kind of games they're playing, they talk about the role of Punjab strategically to unify the region. Okay. Remember I said we need to look at the next nation theory. So there is a Sikh angle to that, but there are other angles which Punjabis need to look at as well, because the world is moving fast to what is the futuristic global brain for governance. And governance is where there are utmost failures at all levels. So we know historically Plato had presented this idea of government of the wise, which Vladimir Vendensky created a different biosphere. I'm just mentioning these as ideas where he said a social and political system based on the priority of the human mind. Now think about that, priority of the human mind, which again, if we look at Guru Granth Sahib's thesis, 95% is about man. And how are we going to develop nation states based on the mindfulness idea? And then this was further developed. There is the idea of noocracy, which basically is a flexible and adaptable system comprised of conscious, systematic, and institutionalized elements, which will be operated in decentralized autonomous subsystems. There was a Jesuit mystic, Teilhard de Chardin, and he had this idea of noocracy, which I think needs to be explored by people who are seriously interested in Punjab and the global governance models. And this model actually is about what they're terming scintillect. And I like this because today now we're dealing with a lot of this AI business as well. A unified or hive-like civilizational mind that integrates all individual minds, both natural and artificial. Why am I sharing all this? Well, why I'm sharing this is when Sikhs had consolidated Punjab, and it was not just for Sikhs, but it was for all Punjab, and when they're playing roles in today's non-Punjabi elements, because 19% of the Sikh population lives in non-Punjab now, they need to be looking at the next models. Gurus had developed models which did not exist at the time. We cannot be going back to 18th century, 16th century, or 20th century models. We need to utilize the paradigms of Sikhi from Guru Granth Sahib and look at where the world is going and help develop the next level of governance for Punjab as well. So, is it a dream? You bet it's a dream. Why is it a dream? Well, we can dream. We need to dream. The reason is it can happen. People didn't think the Vietnam could happen after it was destroyed. Germany, people didn't think happened. That happened. This has all happened within my lifetime. All the divisions happened before I was born. So I'm pretty hopeful. It requires work, but before work, and don't ask me for a plan or a blueprint because I don't have one. I can tell you things start with a dream. As in Gurbani says, "De lammi nadar nihaliye." Begin with end in mind is what Stephen Covey says. Asa Ki War says, you got to go look far. So if within our lifetime, Vietnam can come together and Germany can come together, why can't the Punjab come together? Again, I'm not saying it can happen in 2049, but given everything we have, it's going to require serious work. If 130 million Punjabis are seriously interested in Punjab, can they have 1% of Punjabis think about this? And if that seems too much, how about 0.1? Because 1% becomes 1.3 million. In fact, I would submit to you, my number these days is 0.0001 for Sikh matters as well as Punjabi matters. That yes, Punjab can come together. And when people say there's too much religious extremism and it cannot come together, I would say to you, most of this religious extremism is manufactured post 1947. Games which are played, because even the nations when they were divided in 1947, it was on Pakistan side was 97% Muslims and 3% Hindus or others, minorities we'll call it. On the Indian side, it was 83% Hindus and 17% other minorities. I mean, when you're going to develop borders which are going to fuel more religious extremism, bigotries, or fanaticism rather than religious freedom, that's what you get. And that's what we have gotten in the last 72 years in the so-called modern states of India and Pakistan. Communal harmony was introduced in Punjab by the British after 1849, when they consolidated even their armies based on caste, on religions. And then India and Pakistan continue to fuel that in whichever capacities they can, and they have become part of legal systems and frameworks. So yes, I think the Punjab can happen, which if we start to imagine India and Pakistan, if they remain Islamic Pakistan and India becomes more and more of Hindutva India, then there is no option. And regardless of that, even with those options, I think Sikhs fought, Punjabis fought, Sikhs were part of it, but so were the communist Punjabis pre 1947 who also fought for Punjab. And I mentioned that because all Punjabis were fighting for Punjab. And not just Punjab, they were fighting to free what we now call India and Pakistan. But anyone will tell you, whether you invoke Bhagat Singh or whether you invoke Gadarites or whether you invoke Kartar Singh Saraba, they'll all tell you that any of those tendencies, whether you're religious or atheist, the dreams of people who freed what we now call India and Pakistan, majority, overwhelming majority being Punjabis, their dreams have not been realized. There is no Azadi, there is only Barbadi. So yes, this reunification dream, we need to dream much more. And if we continue to dream this, we will be, I'm going to invoke Puran Singh. I cannot talk about Punjab and end a conversation on Puran Singh without talking about Puran Singh. Because he traveled the world. And question for us is on your screen, you can see what the Punjab looks like today, the fragmented Punjab. And what you see is, Puran Singh, after traveling the world, coming back to India and living there, he says, Punjab nu kooka main. I cry for Punjab. Punjab pyar tu mud aa. Sikh Punjab tu ghar aa. So love for Punjab, it must return. Mud aa. Sikh Punjab tu ghar aa. And Sikhs of Punjab need to also come home, which means go back to the original impetus of Guru Nanak and look at how it was implemented during Guru period and how it was implemented in post-Guru period. Punjab, tu mud khide khide mathe la, ਕਰੋੜਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਆ ਇੱਕ ਆ ਹਜ਼ਾਰ ਆ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਕਾਰ ਆ ਰੂਹ ਦੀ ਖੁੱਲੀ ਟੰਕਾਰ ਆ ਭੌਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਗੁੰਜਾਰ ਆ ਫੁੱਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੁਲਜ਼ਾਰ ਆ ਧੁਰ ਦੀ ਫੰਕਾਰ ਆ ਪਿਆਰ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਸਦਕੇ ਤੂੰ ਮੁੜ ਫਿਰ ਆ. The love for Punjab needs to come back. He's evoking emotionally what we will today a 1, a million, 100,000, at the level of heart, at the level of spirit, at the level of flowers, at the flower. I mean, all he's saying is until the love for Punjab comes back, nothing will happen. And love for Punjab is not just a declaration, it's you work toward all elements of Punjabiness. I'm going to stop here. Hopefully I gave few things for you guys to think about on how and why there needs to be a dream, a quest for reunification of Punjab. And if we start dreaming, then if multiple people dream, few will create plans to make it happen, and possibly it can happen within our lifetime, because things do happen within our lifetime in global events as well. Balpreet? Balpreet, I'm ready to take questions or comments. Back to you.
Yes. Thank you, Viji. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Just a reminder for everyone, if you have any questions to ask, please submit them through the question panel in GoToWebinar. And if you would like to ask them verbally, just confirm with me via chat if you have a microphone at your disposal. So we've received a few questions already from a few of the participants. One of them is very technical. Punjab with an A versus Punjab with a U. What's the difference?
Sure.
From Gobind Singh.
It'll be good if you have the name and the city where people are from. So it's good to just get to know people a bit.
Yeah, this is from Gobind Singh. Unfortunately, they didn't include a city.
No problem. Well, thanks, Kulvinder Singh, for asking this. It's a linguistic issue. There is Anglicization of it, and eventually the politics of the two nation states came in. And even within one side of Indian Punjab, for example, there's a politics of center-state relation and sometimes ideological things. So linguistically, there is no disagreement that the spelling is with an A. But both U and A are popular. Linguistically, most apt and accurate is with an A.
This question comes from Harinder Singh. Since Guru Nanak's foundation is truth and truth is not geographical, do you envision the fort of truth as a global vision, a broader vision? What does that look like?
Sure. Thanks, Harinder Singh, for asking that. So listen, the vision is always going to be eternal. This is what Guru Granth Sahib says. implementation of that vision needs to be decided by and worked upon in the local realities and for that time's realities. So that's why I invoked that the Nanak's idea of Raj, Guru Nanak Padshah's, is based on firm foundations, which means are we developing firm foundations is the question we need to be asking, and what are we going to construct on top of it? What kind of fort? Idea of fort is again symbolism of physical buildings from where the governing structures, the Raj structures, come out. So, as I see it, the ideas are universal and eternal. The implementation of this needs to be in the regional realities, which include understanding topography, demography, demographics, and the socio-political economic realities.
Awesome. Related to that question is how does Halimi Raj translate into Punjabi Raj?
Well, the translations will have to be done by those who are interested in that. I can share with you Halimi Raj, an expansion of Guru Nanak's paradigm of Raj, and it means that was practiced, and I gave an idea of that how in the Guru period it was done through creating city-states kind of an idea, and then it was culminated by Banda Singh Bahadur, and in the post-Guru period there were Jassa Singh Ahluwalia with the other missiles did it, Ranjit Singh did it in his own capacities. Halimi idea is that the vision of the Raj, the compassionate and kindness, where there are no second or third class citizens, taxation is fair, where the rule is of the benevolence, not of the law, in the sense where how it gets manipulated these days. So that's a vision. Again, that vision, those who are going to dream to create local self-governances, they need to work on implementing that vision in their realities. So in the next Punjab will require not only the Sikh ideas, and we must not limit it only to Sikh ideas. Sikhi is a vision. Sikhi is for universal significance. Sikhi is what drives Sikhs. But the implementation of that, when Sikhs did it, they did it in a what we today call in a pluralistic and multicultural way. And we must remain open to that. And this is why the next ideas of nation states or self-governance need to be studied as well, which will further the vision of Guru Nanak Sahib's Raj.
Thank you for that answer. Amrik Pamra from the UK is wondering that the idea of united India and Pakistan, hence Punjab, has been raised by a few journalists as well as other authors. The overwhelming opposition will come from a nationalistic element on both sides. So how do we counter that that insurgency from nationalistic elements?
Sure. Amrik, thank you for asking that. Amrik from UK. So I actually am not proposing a united South Asia here. I'm actually proposing, and there is a united Punjab. And the reason I'm saying that is because the history, as I mentioned, the history is when Sikhs have been able to, or the Punjabis have been able to create freedoms from Punjab, then they have been able to create freedoms around other areas. And the natural borders of Punjab, the region of Punjab, the history, the culture. For example, the Indian side of Punjab and Pakistan and Punjab is going through its own internal dynamics within those two states. So reunification needs to be based on legal precedences as well, because Punjab was a kingdom. It was a last state to get annexed by the British. So if we ask for Punjabiness back, maybe then the Kapoor Singh idea, the Kapoorian idea of a buffer state can be created between the India and Pakistan. And there needs to be conversations about how India and Pakistan can exist. Can they exist in its natural form, or do they need to create a united South Asia? But those are different topics. My invocation today is Punjab has its own tendencies. Punjab has always had its own economic centers. Punjab has always had its own kingdoms. And they were developed and populated and enjoyed before the modern states of India and Pakistan were created. And 130 million Punjabis need to seriously think about that reunification. And we need to go back to looking at what Punjab was for Muslims, what Punjab was for Hindus, what Punjab was for Sikhs, what Punjab was for other religious or non religious. And if we look at that data, it will tell us that the politics of Punjab, the policy making in Punjab, in the vicinity of Sikhi, but not exclusive to Sikhi, was much more powerful and it created better environments. And perhaps we need to go redevelop that, is what I'm asking.
Awesome. We have a question from Harinder Singh from India, who asks, is there a similar post-independence Pakistani movement or view similar to the one propagated by Professor Kaur and Singh in 1966, culminating in the Anandpur Sahib resolution?
The part which I'm aware of is that whenever in Punjab, because of the Sikh treatment within the state of India, Sikhs have been asking for some either independence or autonomous structure within Punjab, within India, since 1947. And it has come in various forms, including Anandpur Sahib resolution, including in Khalistan movement. Now, do realize Sikhs are asking for that. So what has happened is you're not going to have you don't have Sikhs in Pakistan which don't even number 100,000. Now the number is questionable whether it's even 5,000. How are they going to ask for that on the Pakistan side? So the numbers don't add, the political realities are there that that movement does not exist on that side. But even within on the Indian side, when it has existed or when it exists even in some capacity today, um, they are not looking at Punjab as a consolidated form. This is one of my critique because they only look at asking things from India and not asking things from Pakistan. Because Punjab is on both sides, it's split almost 53 to 47%, and more being on the Pakistani side. And I think these are the calculated games of India and Pakistan which are deciding how these separatists or sometimes militants and sometimes peaceful activists have been asking for things within the Indian side of Punjab. So I would say there needs to be realigning here to 47 times, and that realigning needs to be that even when Jassa Singh Ahluwalia or Ranjit Singh did it, it was actually about Punjab, and we must not get uh, limit itself, limit the vision of Punjab to just a narrow version of Sikh vision now or narrow version of anti-India sentiments. There will be anti-Pakistan sentiments from a nationalistic angle if we ask for united Punjab.
And what bearing does a possible reunification have on the water crisis, the distribution of water and desertification? Janampreet Singh Ji is asking.
Thanks, Shanti, for asking that. It has grave implications because if you look at modern states of India and Pakistan, uh, not only are they, firstly, there is a what could be called environmental terrorism going on, quote unquote, as to how they unnaturally divert the rivers and build the dams. And then on top of those, on the Indian side, this has been quite known now how they have been bankrupting the Punjab from its water resources. So if you don't have a lobby or independence or Punjabiyat angle, as the way I was presenting, in a unified form, the states on the both sides will continue to loot that and continue to divert that. And in independent states of these two states, this hasn't been solved, and in fact, it's getting worse because every time there is a on the Indian side, for example, they have talked about creating more canals, SYL kind of links multiple times, and it continues to create distress. So I would say having a Punjab state as the Punjab, as I was calling it, will have grave implications for improving the water crisis in the Punjab.
So Gurnam Singh is also asking, how may the Chinese economic power influence the idea of Punjab unification? Because essentially the formation of nation states in modern times was largely a product of imperialism and capitalism during the 20th century communist expansion. And today, China is a very influential part of the region. And so they are building a new Silk Road through Pakistan from north to south. How does that influence the idea of a unified Punjab.
Thank you, Guru Granth Singh, you asking for this. It's a no secret that I invoked that the world powers will play a major role in it. They might have reasons to do this, but all those China will play a major role because territories in Indian state of Punjab, which or Jammu and Kashmir, are still there are let's say conflict borders with China as well. And if we look at Jammu and Kashmir as being a part of Kingdom of Punjab, there needs to be conversation about what part of that can come back to the United Punjab or the Punjab. And China will have a lot to say on that. China will have, and I don't have the answers. As I said, this is not about looking at only one element or the other. This is really purely about dreaming because the current state of existence for Punjabis on both sides of the borders has been very dismal. And nobody's fighting for rights of Punjab or Punjabiness or Punjabiyat, even at the level of language. And what we are discussing is much bigger. And if we want to work on bigger things, our dreams will have to have at some point workings on understanding the India, China, Pakistan, Afghanistan politics in conjunction with the five nations who control the UN Security Council's permanent seats.
Hello? Andy, so
Yes.
we have just a few more minutes left until we have to end the webinar. I just wanted to thank everyone who submitted questions for VUG to answer. Unfortunately, we're unable to get through all of them due to time constraints, but everyone is more than welcome to ask us these very same questions on Twitter or Facebook, and we'll be sure to post our replies promptly. And just a reminder that these webinars are provided for free, but there is a cost associated with the technology and administration. So if you feel like you've benefited from this particular webinar or others in the past, please consider making a donation to SikhRI or becoming a webinar sponsor. Many of you have messaged me, particularly expressing your interest in that. So we're really happy that you are willing to be a part of SikhRI. VG, any closing thoughts? We have just a few minutes.
Well, I want to thank you for coming back and asking. I want to invoke the Shabad's line which I had mentioned earlier, that anyone in any capacity who acts or feels or wants to be Sheikh-like, Sheikh meaning some sort of a leadership position, at some point they need to, and those again, this applies to the Punjabiness and the Punjabi ideas. This will require conversations with people of other communities, people on both sides of Punjab, conversations with those who oppose these ideas, conversations with the Pakistani and Indian politics and Khalistani politics and other separatist politics. In any one of those sections, if you want to play any role, whether it's at trade levels, economic levels, political realities, one thing they all have to come together, the Hukum was saying, and I'm applying it today, that eh man ikkat. So eh man, this mind has to feel the oneness. And they have to come back to this idea. So if you feel that the oneness of Punjab, the Punjab is a solution for South Asia, then come back to that solution, start dreaming, and then you can play a leadership role in developing plans, ideas, discussions. And if enough people dream it, then it can also become, it can translate into realities in coming years, in coming decades.
Thank you, Rudy, for a great webinar. You've left us with some really great thoughts on how to dream big about the future of Punjab. And as we sort of end this webinar, I wanted to remind everyone as well, there will be more details in a follow-up email that you will receive through SikhRI, and you will be receiving a follow-up survey as well. Your feedback is extremely important as we craft and design more webinars and more content for everyone. So please do fill that out, and we appreciate your time. As I end this webinar, on behalf of SikhRI, I thank our e-Sangat today. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.